There. Now, if we don't remember everything, Myrna, you've got something to go back on.
Yeah,
So,
right.
sorry, I have a little bit of a croak tonight. Thanks for joining us. We're going to try and keep the meeting short and sweet, but we want to make sure that everyone is up to speed on what's been going on in the district since we met last August. So, pretty much most of the year so far. So I have visited all clubs except for two that wanted to postpone for a little while. So I'm considering my club visits done. It was a amazing experience. I think my talk by the end of it, I think I was on version, I don't know, 9 point something. It seemed to continue to morph from one club to the next. But it was great to be out at all the clubs and visiting and getting to see how so many things that we do are very much alike and how some other things are very, very different. Just in a reflection of, the culture of the club, the size of the club, the size of the community. The only thing that I found all clubs did was to ring the bell. That was the only thing that I found that was consistent across all of the clubs. And I guess when you talk about looking at your traditions and is there a reason for the tradition, that is one that actually makes sense because it's how you get excited Rotarians to stop talking and listen. So um, anyway, so since those visits are behind me, I've been looking to sort of backfill and go back to the clubs that needed some extra support and assistance. I would say quite a bit of that has been focused on, membership, which almost every club said they have membership issues, and issues around club culture. So just trying to find ways for clubs to adapt to how things have changed since COVID, how clubs have had to adapt to bringing in members with different ideas about how service should happen. And so that's been an interesting experience. Um, what else? I've been gearing up for the conference. That's been exciting for the year end. We've got quite a lineup, I think, of exciting things going on at the conference. And so looking for any ways that we can support the district committees. So I know a couple of committees have already reached out to say, can I put a display up at the conference? And we will be limited to space, but we've decided to give priority, or sorry, not priority. We decided to go about things in a different way. We're going to focus our club projects and that sort of thing on boards with QR codes and links to those projects so that people have a place to refer to them. And then the district committees will most likely have the displays or the screens. So if your committee would like to put something up at the conference, just give me a shout. Like I said, we don't have a ton of space, even though the Arden Park is a big hotel. There's only one main conference room on the main level. And so we're trying our best to accommodate everything that we want to fit into that space. We have a couple of committees that are new we're working towards. Actually, because Jeff's not here yet, maybe Doug, do you want to just take a moment to talk about environment? That's one of our new committees this year. Just a quick tell us how you're doing and what's going on. Hi, Al.
Yeah. Thank you, Catherine. I'd be delighted to. So we have a committee that's up and running fairly smoothly at the moment. We have a great number of people volunteering to help us. We have formed an executive committee, an education committee, a PR committee. We've got our news. We've got a article in the newsletter, the last two. Martin Ward and Pat Morden have helped us do our webpage. Thank you, Martin. A very professional job. And we're trying to reach out to clubs just to explain what we do and why we do it. And we've had some bites on that, but we need to reach a lot more clubs. And so we're still persisting in that regard. So that's kind of where we're at the moment. And we're going to focus on education. It's surprising how little education really people have about climate change and why we do this and why we do that. And why climate is different than weather, things like that that stand out, you know.
Mhm.
So yeah, we're very excited, and you know, I think Rotary has a major role to play in this because it isn't the fact now that we don't have solutions and the technology to move ahead. It's the political will now that's holding us back.
Right.
You all know that from what's happening south of the border, unfortunately.
Right.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. And it's a very engaged and enthusiastic group of Rotarians on this environment committee. So it's been a real pleasure watching that committee grow. And I know we've just recently, and we'll talk a little later on about website with Martin, but we've just got environment committee up and running there as well. Um, Pat, do you want to talk a little about international service?
Certainly. So again, a new committee just formed in July, August. We've sent out 2 emails so far, one to the club presidents and one to the international service chairs, and then a second email to all Rotarians in District 6330. And we were actually surprised and very pleased with the responses. So the responses resulted in 2 new members for the International Service Committee, 1 new member for Hand Up, clubs wanting to donate funds to international projects, and 4 Rotarians willing to join the district resource network. Thank you, Doug. We've created an international service page on the district site. Thanks, Martin. And soon we'll have district resource network posted there that will include contacts for 8 Rotarians who are willing to assist other members in the district who are interested in doing international projects, writing a global grant, anything to do with international. Also included on that page, I think we're going to be giving a brief outline of the global grants that are currently in process in our district that are looking for funding. At this point, there are 4 of them. We've begun making some presentations to clubs. That's a slow process, I agree, Doug. And we'll be looking at doing more of those in the spring. However, a real success story is at one meeting talking about our South Africa Canada Intercountry Committee, and a member approached me afterwards and wanted more info, and he's now joined that committee. So that's our main role, is to get word out to people and establish connections. So that's hopefully what we're doing.
Awesome. That's great. And you're hearing a common thing that is going on here is updating on the district website, which again, we're going to get to with Martin, but that's something that seems to have been a focus in the last little while that I'm excited about. So
Yeah.
Jeff is struggling to get on to our call because he doesn't have internet access. So he's going to try and do something else. So why don't we move on to Al? Do you want to give us your report from the AGs? We can't hear you though, because you're on mute.
Okay, now I'm done. Hopefully you had a chance to look at the notes from the last meeting of a week ago that Myrna sent out on my behalf. The group, the only other things that aren't on this agenda that the group was really focusing on is working with their clubs to have the clubs meet their goals and receive what we used to be called the Rotary Citation. Secondly, make sure your leadership is in place. Make sure not only do you have a president-elect for this year who will be president for next year, but for next year that you're president-elect in space, and maybe even the president designee, working with the clubs to make sure you have that leadership succession plan in place. So those are the 2 primary things. And I guess the other thing is just working to make sure club runner is up to date in terms of leadership, so that indeed when the district does indeed send communication out to the members in the district, everybody who should be getting them does receive them. So those are the primary things. We also talked a little bit about district conference, but I assume, Catherine, you may talk about district conference later in this agenda. So unless there's any questions in what I sent out and in the attachments, that's my report. Now you are on mute, Catherine.
Anyone have any questions or comments for Al? The one thing that Al mentioned there was making sure that clubs have identified their president-elects for next year, which of course is something that we're working hard on. Myrna's got a spreadsheet going, tracking which clubs have identified those PEs. But that same thing applies to having a membership committee in your clubs,
Yeah.
or if you've got an environment committee. If those positions are identified in Club Runner, it's going to give you the opportunity to be able to go in and say, like for Pat, for example, to search up all of the clubs that have an international committee chair, that you'd be able to reach out to them and have that contact. So even within your own clubs, if you can talk with your executives about that, you'll see how that can benefit all of these committees that are here tonight as well. I guess I'm on the agenda next. District open positions. So we have a few AGs still to identify. Al and Jeff were working really hard to cover the AGs on the Michigan side. So 7 and 9 both have AGs identified for next year. Dwayne Allen will be taking over for Area 7. And Tamra, oh, I've forgotten her last name, Kleinenberg. Am I saying that right?
Kleinenberg. Yeah.
Kleinenberg.
Close.
Yep.
Just say Tamara.
From Imlay City is going to be stepping into the Area 9 position. So we are still looking for Area 8, 4, and 2. And actually Area 4 doesn't have an AG currently as well. So we would, if we could find somebody that would be right for that role, we could start them right away. Looking after Area 4 is London. So in addition to, there's Jeff. Hi, Jeff.
Hello.
In addition, we're just going over district open positions. So in addition to our area governors or assistant governors, we're looking to fill a couple of other roles. We currently do not have a PI, public image, public relations chair. I have been trying to make sure that we've got some of that information available to clubs, which is why we did the branding with Tony Sheard a couple of weeks ago. And a little further on, I'll talk about the other option that we have, which is the website refresh that we're doing. So we're trying to find some ways of supporting the clubs, given that we don't have that committee in place right now. And of course, next year, as Lorna Gunning-Frachko steps into the DGE role, she won't have quite as much time on her hands to focus on membership. So we're going to look for someone to step in there. And again, if we can identify someone sooner rather than later, they'll have the opportunity to work alongside Lorna, and sort of Lorna can show her the ropes and get her ready so that he or she would be up and running on July 1st. So those are the open positions that I can think of right now. Can anyone else think of any open positions that I'm missing? No? All right. Does anyone have any thoughts on people that they know in the district that might be interested in any of those positions? Something for you to think about and consider. If you might have some suggestions, you can either let Jeff or myself know about that. All right, so we'll go back up to our DGE report. Jeff, we were hoping you could talk to us about the president-elect positions and how things are going with our Great Lakes Pels, just some updates on what's going on there.
So we have 16 president-elects registered for Pels, which is a decent start. We out of 56. We have a much wider breadth of people who have signed up. A few president-elect nominees have also signed up, and then we have our AGs have done a good job of signing up so far. So we really do need to reach out and press for our president-elects to sign up. So something that we find is people are having issues and not wanting to travel all the way to Kalamazoo. So people are looking for alternate solutions, which is definitely possible. The problem with that is that with our agreement, we bill all of our clubs, I believe the $450 to sign up for PALS. If you do an alternate and it costs you $200, then you get $175 of that 200 back, but the balance you do not. So it's really imperative to try to get either our president-elects to sign up, and if a president-elect can't go, then they should send somebody in their place, probably a nominee or somebody who's on a board and looking to move up. So it's really important or imperative that we try to get people to sign up and get clubs to get a participant to PALS.
Jeff, can I just jump in here for a second?
Mm-hmm.
So clubs are asking about $450, which are being added to our district dues. And so what you actually pay for Great Lakes PALS, what we are billed for is $275 US. That's what the district gets billed for. We just wrote a check for the full amount. So people are wondering what's the difference between that $275 US and the $450 Canadian. Well, currently it's a whole lot of exchange, unfortunately. But also the surplus of that money goes into help cover the costs of getting ready for the PALS. So sending our AGs and our governor team and any supplies and that sort of thing that we need. So in case anybody in your clubs are asking about that, that's how that works. And yeah, there is, it's if someone can't attend, that's unfortunate. But we really are encouraging clubs to send someone in their place because it's really an investment in their clubs is what it is. So I just wanted to throw that in there.
Yeah.
And go ahead, Myrna.
Okay. And I'll throw in that to your 16, then we know for sure that we've got Doug Schaub from Area 2 and Nick Godleski from Flint signed up since I did my spreadsheet last.
Great. Thanks, Myrna. Al?
I think I know the answer, but I'll ask it anyways. Jeff, if I've got somebody who's repeating in the role of president and they were there last year, are we asking those people to come back again?
Yes. I thought you were going to say something, Catherine, but yes, we are asking them to come back. I do believe the training between the nominee and elect is a little bit different, not drastically, but it is different. You do have some different things to learn. PELS is a little bit unique in each year, and we do have some specific training that they have put together that everybody is sharing in so that we can not have overlap and to make sure that what we talk about in our specific district event training doesn't overlap with what's happening with the general. So definitely an improvement, and we would like that person to go again in this sense, or again, if they can't go, then they should send somebody in their place.
And the other thing that I would throw in is there is a session on return presidents. they have some kind of catchy name for it, like, so you're back at it again or something like that. Yeah.
I'll be joining you guys as a returning president, not as an AG.
Oh, okay. There you go.
Because I'm president of my club next year, but I've got somebody who's repeating. They were there last year as president, and they're going to be president again this year. So that might be the question. So she hasn't asked it.
Yeah, and the expectation is, from RI, is that they have to attend every year before they do their president training. But that's where I come. There is also a clause in the manual of procedure that says if the president-elect cannot attend, they may send a substitute in their place. And it's subject to the governor's approval, which the governor is going to approve. So, and in fact, I would encourage, especially someone who was there last year, if they can get someone else to come and experience what that would be like. It'll help to sell the Great Lakes PELS for next year. And I don't know if you noticed that we're saying PELS, not pets.
Yeah.
Because I think RI has changed that wording. So I guess we were ahead of the game a couple of years ago when we were calling it PELS. So
Myrna, when we just mentioned the difference between the 450 and the 275, which is the actual cost. The district, is it sending all the assistant governors?
They don't all go, just whoever can go to support. Yeah.
And if they go, we pay for them, eh?
There
The
will be
district does?
There
Yeah.
will be costs for the district. Yeah. Yeah. Reimbursable expenses. Mhm.
Last year, did you try to do a bus or something is that on the agenda?
We
Possibilities?
tried last year. We didn't get a lot of support for that. So I didn't, well, Jeff, I don't think has really investigated doing that for this year.
Yeah.
But Myrna,
No.
you did offer in some of your correspondence, you do talk about carpooling, right?
Yeah, not overly. I did it at the AG meeting last week, and I encouraged the AGs to look at the president-elects or whoever was attending from their area, because they know who the president-elects are. And sometimes the president-elect of one club doesn't know who is for another club, and I encourage them to try and organize a carpool within their own area. And you know, if it isn't your own area, then pick up somebody from just a little bit south, a little bit east, a little bit west. Yeah. But I know Southampton isn't going, Aaron.
Okay, yeah, and we are going to go, not me, but our current president, who's just doing a 6-month run, and I'm really hoping that he will stay on and do the next year as well. I think he would if we encourage him to do that. So I think he'll enjoy it. So having said that, there is no president-elect listed on our website.
Right.
Should I put his name twice? Is that what you recommend?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Move him over to either Adam as president-elect for the current year, or flip your executive into 25, 26 and put his name in as president there.
Okay.
And then, and I will put Port Elgin on my list because Saugeen Shores just identified their president-elect. And
Male or female? Because we're also looking for accommodation sharing.
I'd have to go back and look, Aaron.
No worries. I can look too.
Need to put Sarnia down as definitely sending someone.
Right, yeah. And that's not on the list, so.
Great.
And I think but I'll check and see, Jamie, to see whether they've gotten the registration package or not. I'm hoping
Okay.
they have.
Okay, great. Do you have anything else you would like to talk about at this time?
No, we are going to have probably a pre-Pels coming up. Now that's something that I have to put a lot more work into right now. I know some of the districts are having 4 and 5 events, and I really feel like personally it's a little bit too much. So we're going to try to maybe narrow it down a little bit, but we will be having some pre-Pels, and we'll be getting the information out on that soon.
Anybody have any questions?
Probably,
Oh, go ahead.
nope, that's probably it.
Okay. Anyone have any questions for Jeff?
Jeff, on the pre-Pels, is that going to be district-wide or area-specific, or is that still something you're still thinking about?
So we were thinking, I've had recommendations that we do something a little bit smaller, so that we try not to have more than 15 people on at a time, so that we can have a better breakout room. And I want to say it was Mike Chafee that suggested that, or it was you, Al, one of the two. So we're probably going to do something a little more area specific.
Okay, and it'll probably be via Zoom versus in person?
Yeah, it'll be definitely by Zoom.
Okay, thank you.
That's great. And Jeff's heading off to Florida. Remind me again, the first week of February?
Yeah, February 9th. So the 9th through the 16th.
Right. So that training that he's doing is called International Assembly. Martin can speak a little bit about this as well. There's 537 district governor-elects and their partners and all of the support for that week. It's a week of learning. And it is quite an experience that you're up for, Jeff. So enjoy every moment of that. And don't forget to go to the Around the World celebration. It's a hoot. You'll have so much fun. Everyone dresses up in their traditional costumes, and it's a lot of fun.
So
Yeah.
we are supposed to take something with us to put in a photo booth.
Yes.
So that is region specific. So I have to come up with something, whether it's going to be a Tim Hortons sign, or or Toronto Maple Leaf sign, something like that. I'll have to take with us. They want me to dress a region specific as well. So if anybody has any suggestions of what, I'm racking my brain on what's in Flint, right? And that's not representing our district. So if anybody has any suggestions, I'd be happy to listen to those.
Okay. My partner Zdenko last year, I think he hit every booth and took selfies with every one of those booths that were set up. He was like Mr. Friend Maker. So he had more fun than I did, I think. He should have been the district governor.
Should have a hockey stick there, I think.
I think there were hockey helmets and jerseys, and somebody had the guy from the Buffalo district had a Buffalo Bill hat on or something. It was a lot of fun.
Nice.
Anyway.
Jeff, you're still thinking district conference next year in Frankenmuth, I thought?
Yes. So we have secured a date and a venue in Frankenmuth. I just signed the contract on that yesterday, as a matter of fact. So it will be in Frankenmuth. It's going to be a little bit early. It will be in May again. And that was dictated by you have to be 2 weeks away from the international convention, which is dead center of June. So it pushed us before, and then we were looking at holidays in the U.S., holidays in Canada, trying to miss. And so I want to say, don't hold me to this, but it's I believe it's May 21st of 2026, but I can look.
It wasn't so much the date, but I was thinking, Frankenmuth, German. You could really confuse people and go up to Frankenmuth and find a nice costume up there. Maybe a Santa Claus.
There you go.
Santa
You
Claus.
could do that.
I'm sure I
You've
can
got
find
the
lederhosen there.
Yeah,
find
beard
things
going
like
already
that.
for Santa.
It might be a little.
I would make lederhosen look good. I'm just saying.
I bet you would. All right. Anything else for Jeff?
I was just going to ask Jeff, when you do the area pre-PELS training that you're doing, if you can record that, because my club's incoming president lives in Germany. And so she's not going to stay up till 7 o'clock Ontario, Michigan time for a meeting.
Right.
And I think that's the only club that would be affected.
Yeah. And we can put those up on YouTube when they're done being recorded.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And so perfect timing as we finish up with Jeff, because Lorna is on the call now and she's sort of next up on the agenda. Just if you could talk a little bit about policies and procedures, Lorna, that's in your wheelhouse, and whatever else you'd like to chat with us about on District Governor nominee role.
Thank you, District Governor Catherine, and apologies for my tardiness. DGN, okay, policies and procedures. I'll be sending out an email tomorrow morning to our governance committee. I have received proposed changes or revisions from about 5 Rotarians across the district. A very comprehensive list from Myrna. Myrna, thank you for your time and attention to that. So I think we're in good shape to have everything, to have the proposed revisions to the PEs by February 15th. I think that's when it needs to be. Sorry, I don't have that file with me. Anyway, the timing is good. And I don't really foresee any problems with the proposed revisions. I'm looking forward to the discussions around it. And it's been busy. Your DGN has been very busy. with things other than policies and procedures as well. But nothing in particular to report other than all is good.
Great. Okay. Anyone have any questions for Lorna about policies and procedures? Or anything else for that matter? We're going to talk about membership in a little bit further down on the agenda, but anything else you want to ask Lorna about? No. Okay. Can you remind me again, Lorna, what's the date of the governance meeting where we get together to review the submission?
You know what? Just let me grab that file, okay?
No rush. You can
Excuse
just
me.
put the date in the group chat.
Sure. Okay.
Super. All right. Well, let's move on to communications. Martin, why don't I let you go first and you can talk about district website and updates that have been happening there.
Okay. We've done a number of updates, and I have to commend Doug and the new environment committee, because they gave me all kinds of stuff to work with. And that's what I would like everybody to do, is to take a look at the district website for their area of interest. And if it's not current, let me know. Let me know what needs to be changed. If it's not there, give me some text, because you don't want me making stuff up. Over the last few weeks, we have cleaned up all of the old stories. They're all gone now. Anything that's there is relatively current. And I look forward to trying to get basically every committee that's in the district should have a website that is current. So I would encourage everybody to get on the website, see what's there in their area, and if it needs some attention, send it to me and I'll get it up.
You meant web page, right? Not website for each district committee? Web page.
Yeah, sorry, web
Okay.
page.
Just wanted to make sure we were clear.
Yeah, and the way it's a club runner site, so the way that works best is if somebody sends me a Microsoft Word document, then I can make a web page out of it.
Right.
Okay.
That sounds great.
That's basically it. And if someone wants to see a good model, take a look at the Environment Committee.
Yeah. They're working very hard at it. Like I said, they're a bunch of eager beavers for sure.
Well, when you've got people like Pat Morden and Kitty, you're going to get pretty good stuff.
Right. Yeah. Great.
We lucked out there.
Yes.
You can't have either of them. I'm sorry.
Oh,
Yeah.
Noah. That's great. And then, so the other thing that Martin and I are working on, and of course, what Pat's been talking about with international service ties in with this as well, is the district showcase. So similar idea to what the Rotary International Showcase looks like, and that's been all revamped. Al could talk about the changes that have and have not happened to that RI showcase. And so the idea that we're going for is that there will be 3 areas on that district showcase. One where clubs can show, display, talk about their local projects that they're doing, their fundraisers that they're doing, and then any international projects. And so the idea is to share that information, to inspire other clubs, maybe even to promote the ideas of collaborating amongst clubs. I know there are a couple of groups that do that. They're working together with many clubs. I know Area 5 does that. And Pat, you belong to Hand Up, which is another one of those collaborative groups of clubs. So it'd be nice to have all of that up on the site and easily accessible to all of the clubs. And my goal is hopefully to have this up and running for the conference, so that any displays that we have at the conference will have a QR code or a website link that will take people who are visiting the conference right to those sites, that they can get more information, they can find the contact person, that sort of thing. I think the idea is that we don't need to reinvent the wheel about a lot of the amazing things that we're doing in the district. So fingers crossed that we can get that put together for, even be great if we could have it together for PALS, but I doubt that. That might be pushing things a little, huh, Martin? Although I hear you work very well from Portugal.
I was just going to say, I should have some time on my hands in Portugal.
Okay, great. And so the other thing, speaking of websites, is we are piloting a website refresh. So there is a woman from Brantford, her name is Melissa, and she has been doing Rotary Club website, she's calling them a website refresh. And so it's $300 is what she charges for these website refreshes. The district, we believe, is going to cover part of that. And she will go through, she'll look at your website and she will make recommendations for your changes. If you go, actually, I think Martin, you posted this on our front of our district page, right? There's a link there that you can go to that will show some before and afters of the refreshes that she's done. She has to date done this for more than 250 clubs in at least 4 districts, maybe 5. So she has a really good handle on this, just sort of bringing everybody's websites up to looking current, making sure that the branding is proper, and just, fresh. Some of our websites are a little tired looking. With the hope is that when you've got these websites up and running and looking attractive, and they'll be appealing for people who want to be potentially Rotarians. So currently we have Fort Gratiot, we have Marine City, and we have London Hyde Park that are those are the 3 clubs that are going to start initially with this, but we could roll it out to any club that's interested in the district. So
what was their price?
I'm sorry?
What was her price?
$300. And maybe next down on the agenda here, we're going to talk about options for club support. So I would like to propose that half of that cost gets covered by the district as part of our support for clubs. Anybody have any questions, comments, concerns about what's going on with our?
And that's 300 Canadian.
300 Canadian, yes.
Does she only do Club Runner sites if the club is out of Club Runner?
Yes. Yeah.
Only Club Runner?
Yes.
Okay.
Now, if your website isn't on Club Runner, and you would like to look at doing that, she could certainly help you with setting it up as well. Yeah. Anyone else have any questions about that? No? Okay. Huge thank you to Martin for all the hard work that you do on keeping that website up and running. Yeah, it's a big job. It's a big job, and he gets right in there rolls up both sleeves and gets things accomplished. So thank you very much, Martin. All right. Lorna, you're up next to talk about membership.
Thank you, District Governor Catherine. Our focus on membership across the district, I think, is maintaining some really nice momentum. I know that our numbers are down somewhat because it was the end of the year, but I am pretty confident we are going to be strong by the end of June. In fact, in our zone, our district has the strongest membership growth. So that's very encouraging. And clubs are really starting to listen to membership reports and membership presentations. In fact, I think Catherine and I are both attending an open house in St. Thomas for the Rotary Club of St. Thomas tomorrow evening at the Holiday Inn Suites, I think. I presented to that club a year ago. So they've been working on this for that amount of time, but they put a lot of thought into it. The Rotary Club of London Hyde Park, we had a prospective member event organized for the end of November, which was snowed out. So now it's been rescheduled for March. But as a result of the work that we had done for that event, we obtained 2 new members out of that. I have the paperwork here tonight for one of them. So I think that clubs are really starting to understand that membership is an ongoing project, so to speak, and that, as RI President Stephanie will say, it is her favorite committee and everybody is on the membership committee. So what we're starting to see across the district are different clubs taking different steps. I know some clubs, they are challenging their membership to bring a guest. Every member bring a guest over the next 2 or 3 meetings kind of thing. So there's all kinds of membership activities going on across the district, which I find very encouraging because it works. Membership, in order to maintain and grow a club membership, you need sustained focus on it and consistent attention. So our next project rather, we have a $500 amount of money from RI that a district can spend on a membership activity, banners, anything to support club activities around supporting membership. So I haven't taken this to the district leadership team yet, Jeff and Catherine, but I'm thinking, you know, with the work that we're doing in our website and on our social media, that perhaps a social media campaign district-wide might be worth looking at. Now, $500 isn't a ton of money for that, but I do have some thoughts as to how we can make that go a long way and include all of the clubs. So that's kind of on my radar right now. You're on mute.
I don't usually mute myself, but I got noisy dogs tonight. Anyone have any questions, comments for Lorna? She's doing some amazing things out there with the clubs. Her membership presentations are just excellent. So thank you so much, Lorna, for doing that.
We're going to need a new membership chair by the end of the calendar year 2025 for sure.
We talked about that.
Not, yeah.
So hopefully we'll find somebody sooner rather than later so that they can do a little, you know, there can be a little bit of a transition period between you and that person.
Yeah, that would be great. I'd be happy to work with someone, you know, for a few months. And our numbers are going to be up by the end of the year. RI President Stephanie has challenged us to increase our membership by 100 and 4 new clubs. You know what? We're going to be close. I think we've got 2 new clubs already. Both of them are Rotoractor. It's going to be close. I would not be surprised if our numbers are up by 60 or 80 members.
That's great. Okay. Thanks, Lorna.
And Lorna, I will be answering your email later today or tomorrow morning. Because I had a club meeting myself, so I'll
you're
answer.
Kidding, Myrna. I'm joking.
Well, just so everybody else knows, Lorna got an inquiry came down from RI from somebody living in London, and they're interested in online. So with my online club meeting today, we discussed that with the membership chair. So I'll be sending you the information and we'll move on from there. And the district online club too.
Okay. Thank you, Myrna.
You're welcome.
All right, so we're going to move on. That foundation report, unfortunately, late in the afternoon, David Elliott sent his regrets. So we did receive the foundation updates from RI. Myrna, hopefully you can attach that to our meeting notes, what David just sent us. Basically, in a nutshell, he says the donations seem to be in line with the last couple of years, a little down in the annual fund, but the polio fund is up. So things are okay on the foundation side, and you'll get to see that that report that Myrna attaches. Treasurer's report. Again, we don't have Mike here. So I can't comment a lot about what the balance sheet and the income statement look like. But I can tell you that it has been a huge undertaking for Mike transitioning again. I don't know how many of you are aware that Harry Jewston, who was treasurer, transitioning that over to Mike, but then he was also the finance chair, and he's unable to fulfill those duties. He has some personal issues going on. So trying to get that information from Harry over to Mike, switching up signatories and that sort of thing has been a little bit challenging. And we have moved over to the paid bookkeeping services. So that is all coming together now. Mike got the district invoices out, not this past Friday, but the one before that. So that was a lot later than we were hoping. But I imagine next year with our new treasurer in place that will happen much easier. And those checks are rolling in already. So the clubs in the district are receiving them and paying them promptly. So probably, in the next couple of months, we'll have a short list of clubs to collect from. Okay, if I can take just a couple of minutes here. Back in August, when we met at the Diva Den, we had some ideas on club support for those operating surplus that we have. And so we said that we were going to revisit it after we'd had some time to think about it. And I'm going to share it with you. Mike and Harry took these notes down. I think they were shared on the whiteboard. So I just wanted to take a couple of minutes just to go through here to see if anybody has had any additional thoughts about where we might, there's the surplus is, Jeff and Lorna, you might step in here and correct me. I want to say it's about $85,000, which obviously we don't want to dip into all of that surplus, but the money should be used to support our clubs. And so this was the list that we had come up with. I would say, we're very first one, club website makeover. We're working on that one right now. So that could be, we can check that one off. I think if we propose that the district pays 150 of the $300, that works out to what, about, my math's not great, but something like $8,000.
Yeah, and Catherine, it's not like every club is going to sign up for that right away, right? If we do 20 to 25 clubs in a year, that'll be.
Yeah.
So that's really a kind of a 3 or 4 year project, isn't it?
I would imagine that it will be.
Yeah.
I know that we are the only district right now that Melissa will be working with. So,
Okay.
Which is good news, because if we have plenty of clubs that are excited about this, she can certainly help to move that along. So we're looking at probably the high end would be about that $8,000.
Mm-hmm.
So taking a look at this list, is there anything that anyone is jumping out at them? Why don't we look at this to be our next opportunity to support our clubs? Yeah, Pat, go ahead.
I think support for PELS would be very appreciated by many clubs.
Yeah. And last year, when we were getting ready for this, originally we were looking at a tiered system for the paying the dues for that. And it was based on club size. And I think at our finance committee meeting, we just couldn't come up with what that right number was, calculation for that. But I think we should go back to revisit that, because it's a big bill for some clubs that only have 15 and 16 members.
Yeah.
And last year I sent out emails to all of those smaller clubs to say, look, we want to support you in this, and we know it was a big bill, so send me a request and we'll see if we can't do something, we can make a case for it. And you know what? Nobody responded to that. So I don't know. I know people got it because somebody on this call sent me a note to say, we're good. We don't, but I don't know what the reasoning was behind nobody.
Were there some clubs that simply did not pay it last?
No, they all paid.
So if we were to provide support for those smaller clubs, what do you think that would look like? Like $200?
Yeah, like I think it would be a reduction if you're, and what we had looked at last year was, and I don't have the exact numbers in front of me now, but if it was 16 members or less, that they would pay, say, $200 instead of the $450. And clubs between 16 and, I don't know, 35 members would pay $300, like something like that. We had a small, medium, and large categories and different pricing on it. Where we got kind of lost in all of that was, okay, so if you've got a club that's 17 members, are they paying $200 or $300? And so it gets a bit murky, right? And at the end of the day, the finance committee just said, well, this is the first year, let's see what happens. And if we need to go back retroactively and support these smaller clubs, we can. But that didn't happen because no one.
Well, I know you would get a couple requests from Area 4, I'm sure.
Yeah, I think the challenge on that would be is what happens when the money disappears. Whereas for like the club website makeovers, those are sort of one-time events. So you could put money to there, and hopefully if the makeover is good enough, it has some currency. I mean, if you did it for helping on, great, it will help for a couple clubs in the first couple of years, but eventually when that subsidy disappears,
Well, when the money runs out, you mean, Al?
yeah, because I think the 85,000 we're talking about isn't something that's going to be there, sort of a one-time gift.
I'm not sure about that. I think that, and Martin, you could chime in here as a past district governor, but I think that excess calculation, that excess reserve comes and goes, right? Like it ebbs and flows. That sound right, Martin?
Yeah, I believe that's correct.
Yeah. So it's not like the money's not going to be there. I'm just trying to find. So last year when we were looking at this, we had 11 what we were calling small clubs. We had 35 medium sized and 10 large. That was how we came up with the 56. Yeah, Pat, go ahead.
I think this is a time of transition for PELS because going to Michigan, going to the zone came right after COVID when we were paying virtually zero for our president-elect, right? Because it had been all online. Yeah. So in a reasonably small club and being a fair distance away, by the time we put in the registration fee, the gas, the hotel, etc., it's over $1,000 for us to send our president-elect. No. And going from zero to that had a big impact on our budget, especially at a time when our fundraisers were going in the tank.
Yeah, and I totally agree with you about that. So we did try and offer some ways for clubs to, reduce some of those costs. We tried with the bus, and then we tried to say, can you carpool? There were actually a couple of Rotarians or clubs from up your way that did some room sharing, right? Wasn't it your club, Erin?
Oh yeah, and that was interesting.
Because it was not two women and it was not two men.
That's right.
They were not married.
And they were not married. Yeah, we were all applauding the spouses who stayed home, actually. Yeah. I was just going to say that something along what Pat has just said, that it is I'm in Arizona right now and loving it and love the States and love Michigan and lots of Michigan friends here. But when I buy a loaf of bread here, it's $2 or so, and it's $2 or so at home. But my dollars here don't equate to $2. So is there any chance of considering just helping with the exchange rate? Like maybe just some of the Canadian clubs, and that's why I'm saying all this, because it's not about, oh, those American clubs, oh, those Canadian clubs. I don't mean that at all. I just mean it's not dollar for dollar. It is the $1,000 or more. And I don't know why people didn't take advantage of the offer last year. That's, you know, maybe the priority isn't to take money from the district. It's to, you know, we can fend for ourselves. Maybe it's pride, who knows what it is. But you know, 275 for the States and 450 for the Canadian clubs.
No,
Oh, no.
it's $450 for all clubs, but the
Oh, right. And it's
what Great Lakes Pals actually charges the district.
okay.
$275
So,
US for
but
everything.
in US, so ours is, and then the accommodation, that's why the sharing happened, and then the mileage on top of that for the gas.
And you know, Aaron, this is a great. I don't think anyone has suggested this up until now, that it's the currency exchange might be a great way to support clubs.
Yeah, just the difference
particularly those ones that are up north that have that long distance. Al, do you think our Michigan clubs would have their noses out of joint about that?
I don't know. I hadn't thought about that because, yeah, I mean, the exchange rate is because there is some differences.
Do you know what the
Interesting.
exchange rate is right now, Al?
Yeah, it's 62 cents on the dollar, as I recall.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Yeah,
And,
yeah.
and what, I expect it to be worse.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't think there'd be a big issue, but Jeff's on the line too. I guess he would be the one who'd be dealing with it too as the incoming district governor, so he'd have to face the wrath of all those incoming presidents.
Well, and an answer to that is probably the only clubs on this side that will have an issue with it are maybe the small clubs,
Yeah.
the ones that are struggling. And if we did a basic exchange rate help and then helped some of the smaller clubs on this side, then it would be effectively equal. And it wouldn't be, and it would be help and a subsidy, but not necessarily paying the full thing, right? So everybody has to have skin in the game. So we could have a combination of two if it became an issue.
Right.
Yeah, I guess where I would only have a challenge would be if you would care maybe some of the bigger clubs. I mean, if you're a big club on the Canadian side and big club on the American side, and say, well, the Canadians have to pay effectively less in US dollars because of the exchange rate. Does that make sense? And what other places do we then try to equalize things for the exchange rates between all the other nations of the world? It seems weird.
But if we offered it sorry, I was just going to say, if we offer it as a subsidy, not all clubs would necessarily take advantage of it. And I can tell you that the biggest club in the district, they're not taking advantage of that. So.
Well, yeah, I'd be more leaning of just by club size.
And I'm sure Mike Chafee wouldn't have a problem of calling a bigger club that requested the subsidy and go, really?
Yeah.
You might not be as brazen, but I'm sure Mike would be.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just pulled up our club's invoice, and on it is a credit from 24 pets.
Yep.
Does everybody get that, or is it something that I don't understand?
Who didn't go who was the president-elect? Marianne?
No, it's a Global Passport, and our president went to a training
in
a different zone in Eastern US.
Right. So he went somewhere else. He submitted his bill from the Pels that he went to, and that got deducted from your invoice this year, less that $25 fee.
Right. Okay. Thanks.
So actually, I'm glad you showed that, Lorna, because that's exactly how the process works. If you can't attend Pels, you go somewhere else, you submit that paid invoice to say, I went to wherever, and you get that money reimbursed to you. Okay, so is it the recommendation of this group here that we take that to the Finance Committee meeting?
I think we need to, because I don't see this changing, this disparity in the value of our dollar for a while.
Right.
I hate to say that, but you know, we're going to be between 60 and 70 cents for a long time.
Dennis Dinsmore is praying that it changes by 2026 when we have our district conference so that the Canadians will come.
Right.
Well, and I was just going to say that the reverse is also true. I know that hopefully lots of our American Rotary friends will come to Stratford, but they get a benefit when they come. Their price is about half, not quite half, but much reduced from what we will be paying in Canadian dollars to go on our own side. They get that benefit, so that's also and I'm thinking, I don't really know exactly where all the clubs are in relation to where PELS is being held, but some of them won't have to pay accommodation. I would think some wouldn't have that extra cost. I don't really know.
There wouldn't be very many that wouldn't pay for
Most
it.
No, nobody.
Far enough away.
Everybody will probably have to stay. I mean,
yeah,
it's even from the Flint area, it's a 2-hour drive one way.
Yeah, way too far. Yeah.
I mean, I've done it before, but I don't really want to do it for.
No, you don't want to. Yeah, exactly.
No, and you miss out on too much of the social and all that other thing. Not the conference part.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, and I love this because it doesn't make it a permanent subsidy, right? It's something that we're going to have to be dealing with for the time being, and it'll allow clubs over the next few years to sort of wrap their financial heads around what Great Lakes PELS is without them having that expectation that forever they're going to get these subsidies.
So where is?
Oh, sorry.
Oh, sorry, Jeff.
I was just going to talk about the excellent value of the PELS and being in that large environment, right? It's definitely a district feel. And when Rotary goes from your head to your heart, it's typically when you step up to the district level and you see that bigger picture. You see more than my local club. And there's really a chance at the PELS to get the same feeling as you're going to have at a district conference and that same broader experience. So trying to get everybody to something like a district conference is super imperative. And this kind of allows us to put that in place and really forces clubs to look at a bigger picture. So I think it's a huge benefit, and I think it will really do us well in the long term, even though we have growing pains about it.
Lorna, did you want to say something?
Yeah, I was just wondering, is there a multi-district PELS in Ontario?
No. Sorry.
No way.
I got a terrible tickle here. Currently there is not. And last year we were trying the districts, sort of Toronto, Niagara, the one Milton, and the one further north of us, they do theirs in like, I don't know, Sault Ste. Marie or Thunder Bay or someplace, like they go really far north. But we were trying to get those other districts together to talk about what this would look like. It just doesn't seem to be getting any legs. Part of it is the district that's Niagara Way has a huge amount of clubs over in New York.
New York, yeah.
A lot of clubs, the other districts that are closer this way don't want to go to Toronto, which population-wise is where most of the clubs would come from. So now you're talking about going to Toronto. So it just, I mean, I think it's something, Lorna, that you and Jeff might want to pursue as you're working with your district governor teams going forward. But from how things transpired between my classmates, it just didn't work. And we spent some time at International Assembly talking at length about it. So I think if it's going to happen, it certainly won't be happening for the next, not while anybody here is on the district governor ladder. Well, I shouldn't say that. Maybe one of you will be on the district governor ladder in a couple of years.
So
Catherine, can I ask, do you know when they stopped doing a multi-district pets? Because I used to be in 7080.
I-
And when I was there, they were doing 3 zones, 7080, 7040, and another one, I'm not sure which one, but that was in Toronto.
And I don't know the answer to that. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you don't know why, when they stopped or why they stopped.
No, I don't know any of those details.
Yeah,
I can
because that
ask,
was.
or you, or Lorna and Jeff, you could ask your classmates if they have some details on that, but I don't know.
Mhm.
Yeah.
We've been my zone has been sharing information. I'm trying to get a list of online Pels, but I haven't gotten them yet. But we have a commitment for this year and next year at Great Lakes Pels. So it was a 3-year commitment. At the end of this year, we have to decide if we're in or if we're out. So we have the opportunity to back out after Pels of this year, after next year. For sure, but we did agree to a minimum of a 3-year trial period.
Yeah.
So we'll be doing this year and next year.
Yeah,
Last year, you'll remember I went to the one in northern Alberta,
I do. Yeah.
and it was very good.
Hmm.
It was very rural and almost to the North Pole, but it was very good. And
Yeah.
it was $125 Canadian.
Yeah.
And I attended everything.
Mhm.
Was that with Christina? Was Christina your DGE?
Can't remember. And
Great.
I think you told me about it though.
Yeah. Yeah. There were 4 or 5 options for people to attend. So it wasn't like they didn't have any opportunity. And I really think that there were not many clubs that didn't do anything at all. Like a large percentage of those who could not attend Great Lakes Pets did like Jamie did, and they did their learning somewhere else, which is the intention. That's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
Officially, if you read the manual of procedure with RI, it says that you can't be a club president if you don't do that learning. Now, I would challenge that, given that some clubs struggle to find a president-elect, let alone tell them that you found one, but they can't be president because they haven't done their learning.
Mhm.
You would
That's
find
right.
Or people who are serving a 2nd or a 3rd term.
Yeah. But again, I would say that opportunity is for them to send someone else who might be a potential
Mhm.
club president. That's a great opportunity, really, to send somebody that could be that next leader. Really been working on that sales pitch for the last year and a half. Anyway, so I think maybe we can leave the order of where things are kind of as it is, right? Club website makeover, rebranding existing club service. Oh, we didn't talk too much about that one. Lauren, you had a suggestion about social media.
Yeah. And you know,
social media, that was the next one.
this is connected with membership.
Yeah.
Because, we want to attract a younger demographic. Social media needs to be up to snuff, even if it is only a couple of platforms, right? Between website being kept up to date and relevant, and Facebook, Instagram, whatever else you're on, using those platforms. And I think, the spirit is willing in so many clubs, but people just don't know what to do. And, so if we could work with a club, for 2 or 3 months, give them some funding, maybe even, what's the lady's name in Brantford? Melissa, thank you. If her team would take that on so that clubs can become comfortable and confident, and get 2 or 3 people trained in content creation and in scheduling and responding and sharing and that kind of thing, I think it would make a real difference.
Hey, great. So,
and it doesn't have to be a lot of money.
Yeah, so I think we're making some progress on finding ways that we can support our clubs, and nice to know that we have that financial support as well if we need to share that. I said I was going to try and not make us run late, and here we are running late.
Well, I'm going to jump in, Catherine, because we've talked about social media and website, and I just happened to luck in and find where I could click on Club Runner and got a printout of the.
You muted yourself.
Oh,
Talk
my
about your
hands didn't
hands,
tell you
Myrna.
what I meant? Okay. So I happened to lock into someplace on Club Runner. I'm not sure I can go back, where I ended up printing off the website picture of all the clubs. And it was like maybe a week or 2 weeks after Tony's presentation. And I went, oh gosh, if he'd seen this is not good.
No,
And
there's
I
lots of
think
opportunity for improvement.
a lot. And I think putting our money there so that when somebody clicks on, it's a standard message, whether you're impression, I should say, whether you're clicking on with this club or you're that club. We're not all the same, but we have a standard profile.
And we might find that people are going to be moving away a little bit from social media and looking for another place to gain information, and that might be from a website versus Facebook or whatever.
Yeah.
Well, just saying. Okay. Council on resolutions. Tony's not here. He didn't send me any sort of a report, so I guess we will table that until our next time we get together. Martin, you have something? Yep.
Yeah, well, I can speak to it because I'm the alternate. And it's actually, it's not council on resolutions this year, it's council on legislation this year.
Okay.
So Tony and I have the list of what I'm losing my words. We have the list of the enactments that are proposed. And I'm sure that when we're in Portugal, we'll be talking about it. And Tony will be going to the Council on Legislation in Chicago in April. So that's where it's at. We have not gone through the list yet, although we both have the list. And it's long and a long read.
Right. Okay. So you'll have
it's underway.
Okay, perfect. That's great. Yes, and I apologize. I'd forgotten that you are up next for that position, aren't you?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, and I changed the agenda, so next time when we use this template, it'll say Council on Legislation. So thank you for that.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. Last thing on the agenda, updates from district committees. Does anyone have any? Here's your opportunity to tell me to shut up and you can speak. Anybody? Corinne's saying we're good. Deborah, no questions.
Actually, something just popped into my head. Do you know how many people from the district is going to Calgary? Are going to Calgary?
Currently there are 57 registered. Our goal is 200.
Okay.
Where did we come up with 200? I don't know. Just came up with it.
Be nice to have 200 people from the district there.
Well, I think because it is in Canada and relatively close by, at least it feels close by for us to say that it's in Canada, will maybe encourage more people to go than to Singapore, for example.
Yeah. And to add to that, David Butler reported at our meeting today that 35 have paid to attend our club's sponsored Rotary Magic reception.
It's a District 6330 reception. And I think Tanya said that there are 75 spots available. So sounds like half full.
80, Catherine.
80.
Today is Tuesday, right?
Today's Tuesday, but it was a board meeting, Deborah.
Oh, okay. So I'm saying, well, did I miss something? Okay.
Oh, no, you didn't.
Okay.
She's on the board incoming for our club. So we'll see you at the next board meeting.
Okay, great.
See you tomorrow.
Yeah, and I think you'll see a lot more information rolling out about Calgary in the next couple of months as they ramp up and try and get those numbers up. But the last I heard, the numbers were more than Singapore was at the end of the day. So it's going to be a well-attended conference. Yeah. All right. Anyone else? Well, thank you all very much. I do apologize that we've run late, but I think we had some nice, robust conversation around things that are going on in the district and how we're supporting, excuse me, our club members. I'm going to go to the halls when I'm done here. So feel free to reach out if you have any questions or comments or anything for me that you would like me to look into further for you, because that's all of our roles, right, is to support one another. So great. Thanks again, and we'll talk to you soon.
Catherine.
Thanks,
Bye, everyone.
Catherine. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Night.
Night.